Hello and welcome to Lexi's Book Nook. If you're listening, I am on Spotify. If you're watching, I am on Patreon and BookTube. I am your host, Lexi, for Lexi's Book Nook. This is a podcast all about books, book club recommendations. We'll go over discussions and questions and my reviews on these books. So, like I mentioned, if you're listening in and you can't see me, you're on Spotify, you're on my free account. If you want to see my face, my book nook, get inspiration for your own nook, see the covers of the books, there is a Patreon account for $3 per month. That is to support the podcast if you'd like, or also just to get your own inspiration. Like I said, see the book covers, or if you have a YouTube account, I'm also on YouTube. I call it BookTube. That way we can all talk about books together. This is a very short episode. We're just going to go over the books that I will be reading for February. I have a few different recommendations. I'm part of two book clubs. One is back in my hometown where I grew up, and that club is called Books on Tap, where we read a book every month, and we meet up at a local bar, and we hang out, have a drink, and talk about the book. I'm also a part of a book club where I have just recently moved. It's not as cool as that, but it's still pretty cool. But we do talk about a book that I will discuss. And I also will read Reese Witherspoon's book club recommendations. So I would read one of her books from the year prior. I have read some of her books, not all of them, so that's why we're going back in the past. I will try to get a hold of Reese's more recent book club pick for that current month if I can get a hold of it. I know that they're very popular, so I might not. So we'll most likely be talking about the pick from the previous year. And then the rest of the books that I'll be reading for the month will be on my TBR list that is to be read. And I'll try to stay in theme for each month. So for February, you guessed it, Valentine's Day. It's all about love, romance, rom-coms. So I'll be reading a lot of that for February. If you're on Patreon and on YouTube, you'll be able to see these covers. The first book for my Books on Tap book club pick is Memphis by Tara M. Stringfellow. I'm not going to go into reviews on this episode, but I'm going to showcase the books, the covers, and the titles that I'll be reading. So that is for the first book for my Books on Tap group. For my current book club that I'm a part of, I'm listening to it as well, not listening, but it's on my phone. And I'm going to show a copy of it. So it's on Libby. So you can also link your library card to that, and you can get access to audiobooks and regular books. I don't like reading on my phone, but I'm reading Jackie and Maria by Jill Paul on Libby. Here's the cover for my Patreon and YouTube users. And it goes right into that book. So that is my local book club and what we're reading. The next book is going to be the Reese Witherspoon pick, which is The Christie Affair by Nina de Gramont. I think I pronounced that correctly. Here is the cover from my Patreon and BookTube users. This is Reese's pick from last year, 2022. So that is the second book that I have. Well, third, really. The other one's on my phone. Next, we'll get into the romance books, and I'm a big fan of Ali Hazelwood. So we have Love on the Brain. I'm very excited about this one. I love the love hypothesis, so I'm very excited to read Love on the Brain. The next book is one of my favorite authors. I will be reading one of her books per month, so it might not be in theme with the month. But one of my favorite is Leah Moriarty, and we're going to be reading The Hypnotist Love Story. So here is the cover for my Patreon and BookTubers. So I'll be trying to read Leah Moriarty or Chris Bajalian. I like Sarah J. Maas. So if there's like a favorite author of mine, they'll likely be on my TBR list. If you have your own favorites and you want to recommend them to me, you can go on my website, lexisbooknook.com. That is spelled Lexies, booknook.com. My contact information is there. You can always email me with your recommendations or your favorite authors. I will put that on my list. I do not doubt that. But we're going to go to the next book, which is Beloved by Toni Morrison. Very simple cover for my users. It's a red background with Beloved and a calligraphy. The next book, we have two more. We have Love in Color by Bolu Babalola. I think this is an author that reads Witherspoon Lakes. But here is the cover for my users. And then the last book, and there might be more depending on how much I get through this month. February is a short one, so we'll see. Is Thick as Thieves by Sandra Brown. This was actually recommended to me, and I heard that it's a romance. I know it isn't really selling it based on the cover, but we're going to find out together. So in this episode, I'm just showcasing all these books. I am giving you like a title review of all the books that I'll be reading. The next episode at the end of the month, it will be about me actually reading these books, giving a summary, a review, my thoughts, and some discussion questions. I'll go through 3 to 5 questions at the most for each book. My first episode was a little long, so I'm going to try to keep it short as possible and not be too much like a book report back in school if you've done that before. So I'm going to try to keep it entertaining, try to have some fun questions. If you have book recommendations for me for each month or authors you want me to explore, or you have discussion questions you want to send me, again, go to lexisbooknook.com. My contact information is there. Reach out to me. I want to hear what you think. I really hope you continue to listen. If you want to listen on Spotify, it is free. I also have a Patreon account, like I mentioned, $3 per month for extra benefits of seeing my face, my book nook. Get inspiration for your own nook. I'm going to be getting new wall art, so I'll be showcasing that in an episode pretty soon. You'll see the covers of the books. And then if you are on YouTube, I also have a BookTube account. My episodes will go on live, and then I'll post them the next day or so. So I hope you guys are really excited as I am for February and all these romance books, and I hope you keep on reading.